Welcome to the Nobody Guide to Life, where we provide tips and tools for personal growth, personal development, and your spiritual journey that you can use right now in your everyday life. I'm Melissa.
And I'm J.A.
You can always find out more at thenobodyguidetolife.com, and you can check out videos and find episodes on the Nobody Guide to Life YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.
So in our hectic world, stressful situations are often built right into our day. It's at work, it's at home, it's on the road, and stress can distract us. It can kill our productivity and our creativity, and it can destroy our health, and it can destroy our relationships. Now, I know we'd all like to minimize stress, right? And as a bonus, we'd probably all like to maximize our joy. Who wouldn't want that? And honestly, sometimes it seems impossible. But according to today's guest, there just might be a way to do it. Dr. Rozina Lakhani is a psychiatrist at Shifa Health, as well as a fellow and contributing editor to the American Institute of Stress. She's also a clinical professor at the University of Washington. Rozina is an author, mother of two, volunteer, businesswoman, teacher, and student of life whose mission is to prevent stress and suffering in society and promote health and happiness. She empowers people to train their minds to transform stress to joy. Her books, courses, and blog posts help further that mission by providing simple techniques to calm the mind, let go of worry, improve relationships, decrease frustration, get better sleep, and find the keys to happiness. Her book, Stress to Joy, Your Toolkit to Restore Peace of Mind in Minutes, distills decades of experience into a practical guide to help people minimize stress and maximize joy. And she also has a guided gratitude journal and is writing her next book, I Don't Have Depression. And she's here today to share her wisdom. Welcome to the show, Rozina.
Thank you so much for inviting. I am really grateful and happy to share the mission with you.
Oh, well, we can't wait to talk to you about some of this stuff.
Right. We really appreciate your time. And there can't be anything more appropriate right now in this world to talk about than stress.
That's for sure.
Did you know that W.H.O. designated stress as the epidemic of 21st century?
I believe it.
I believe it too.
It's certainly the epidemic of my life a lot of the time.
That's why we do what we do.
That's right. And then we're so happy to have you here to talk about it.
So why don't we get right into it? Why this interest in stress? You know, where did this passion come from? Was it something in your personal life? Did something happen?
Yes. I have been a psychiatrist for about 20 years. And when people come to me, I specialize in the treatment of resistant depression. Mm-hmm. So by the time people come to me, they have tried everything. They've tried even medications and therapy. Right. And so I provide a TMS, which is the transcranial magnetic stimulation. Okay. So by the time people come to me, they have suffered for many years. And yet, as we are working on these advanced treatment, we still have to work on these mind training tools to help them not only improve the quality of their life at that time, but to prevent the depression from happening again.
Sure.
And so I always wanted to bring those tools to people before they start suffering. And I had real passion for it. But, you know, life takes over. You know, I'll do it when I have time. You know, I just like life is so busy as we were talking about, like, you know, being a mother, being a volunteer, being a businesswoman, being, you know, a doctor itself is so demanding that, you know, some of the things that you want to do just are kept on the back burner.
Sure.
So it was always there, and I really wanted to help people to stop or prevent the suffering. But the impetus to start really on that path started after my personal life experience. Okay. So do you want me to go in the detail of the incident or just my journey?
Yeah, tell us what you're comfortable telling us.
Right. I think it would be important for people out there to know the kinds of things that can kind of prompt us to start this personal journey, that kind of urges us to our passion, even if we're not expecting it. So I think that would be really helpful.
So this is, I'm talking about 2004. Okay. My life was quite stressful at that time. We were moving our offices. And, I had a 5-year-old kid and trying to balance everything around. And I was really, really tired. And one day when I was driving back from work, um, I felt a little dizzy and then I zoned out. And I
Oh,
didn't know how I ended up from point A to point B until there was this boom. And there was like, I came to my senses and I realized that I was hit by another car. My car had swung, or airbag had blown, and my hand on the steering wheel looked like a chair.
oh my goodness.
And I could not, I just was staring at my hand and I could not even pick up my phone. I was just like few minutes from my home. I was just turning the lane. But I could not pick up the phone. And so somebody came to check on me and said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, my hand, my hand. And he said, I said, "What happened?" And he said, "You were hit. And the police is on their way." And, all these lights were around me. And so they took me to the hospital. And long story short, I had broken my right hand, and the bone under my thumb was all crushed.
Oh
And
my God.
so, and and I'll tell you a little bit, what I was dreaming about when I was passing out. Next day was my birthday. I was so tired. I was
Yeah.
thinking, what am I going to do tomorrow? Maybe I had taken the day off and I said, maybe I'll go to the nearby lake and I'll sit and read a relaxing book, or should I do a bubble bath? And these were my thoughts.
Oh,
And then I wake up hand broken.
oh my goodness.
So that was the life-changing experience. Um, and then, although I'm a psychiatrist and I help treat depression, I went through my own depression.
Sure.
So I was so much in pain and I couldn't do basic things.
Mm,
And I did not realize, um, and until we break something, we don't realize, or we lose something, we don't realize importance of those things.
sure.
So I didn't realize the importance of my right hand, because when you have your right hand not able to function, you
Right.
can't zip up your pants.
Mm,
You
yeah.
can't you can't make phone calls.
Right.
You can't, let alone taking care of your 5-year-old kid.
I can't
Um, my
even imagine.
my husband had to open the food jars in the morning so I can actually eat, because I couldn't open the jars. So simple things like that made me realize. And there was one particular day when I had the epiphany. I was feeling really down and feeling very depressed. So my husband took me to visit the family members for a change of scenery. So here I was visiting a family member, and they had helped me in the shower. Now their house is split level, so I was upstairs in the bathroom, and they were downstairs talking, and somebody was supposed to come and help me when I was done. Well,
Right.
I got done, and I was trying to call them, but they could not hear me, and
Mm,
I could not change to come out of the shower. So I felt so helpless. And so
mm.
I went back in the shower and turned on the shower again, and I was banging the wall of shower with my left hand. And I had the epiphany.
Mm.
I'm banging the wall of shower with my left hand. What if I would have lost my left hand too? What if I would have lost my eyes or my mind or my life?
Right.
And I had this 5-year-old kid who was in the car with me the whole week before that day. He was
Right.
6, so I was taking him everywhere.
Oh,
That was the first day when he went back to the childcare. What if
wow.
he was in the car with me and I was hit on the side where I usually put his car seat?
Oh my gosh.
So I had, oh my God, and that day my thinking shifted.
Yeah.
So few days later, I was sitting in the bed, and I'm a right-sided sleeper, so I couldn't sleep on the right side because of these nails around my hand.
Sure.
So I was sitting in the bed, and I could see the greenery out of my window.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend had given me a journal as a gift, and it was sitting on my bedside. So that was the first day when I picked up the journal with my left hand and I
Mm.
started writing with my left hand.
Wow.
And I wrote, "I'm grateful for my left hand. I wrote, I'm grateful for my being able to write with my left hand,
Mm-hmm.
for my eyes that I could see the scenery,
Right.
for a husband that is sleeping on my side,
Mm-hmm.
for the pillow to rest my hand, and ability to endure this pain.
Wow. That takes such a strong person to be able to look at something happening that is hindering you in such a significant way and turn it around like that. I mean, I admire you greatly for shifting your mindset in that terrifying, helpless feeling moment that you had in the shower. That's pretty incredible.
Well, I'm really grateful that I was able to find that path, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm so passionate about helping everybody find that path.
Right. And so many people need that inspiration these days.
You know, Rosina, I love that you have these two interests that dovetail so nicely. You know, this idea of reducing stress and increasing gratitude, and how that really does lead to joy. It's what are some of the ways then, after all of this happened and this feeling of gratitude came out of you, what did this really teach you then about managing those stressful situations that came up during your recovery? What are the techniques that you developed to really help you manage all that stress? I can't even imagine what that was like.
It was pretty hard. And if I can say one thing that pulled me through
Sure.
was my gratitude practice.
Right.
Mm,
Right.
So every day since that day, my day starts with a gratitude journal.
that's great.
And over the years, it has been a journey, and it has evolved. And that is one of the reasons I published this guided gratitude journal. But in my practice also, like when I'm writing the prescriptions at the end of the appointment,
Mm-hmm.
I ask, like, while I'm writing your prescription, tell me 3 things you're most grateful for.
Mm,
And as the patients kind of consider things that are working in their life, because when they come to see me and all throughout the interview, most of the time they're talking about things that are not working in their life.
sure.
So when I ask them what is working in their life, they come up with, like, really sometimes insightful things. And I see this shift in their energy. A smile comes on their face.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask them to, okay, every day write down these things that bring smile on your face, so that it gives you the courage to deal with the things that are not working in your life.
Wow, what a great exercise.
Do you find that I know you said people light up when they do it. Do you find that that's easy for people to do? Do you find when you ask that question that it's easy for people to come up with those things?
For some it is, and for some it is not.
Right.
Like
Right.
I have patients who are so much in pain. Like, I treat injured workers also. So they are so much in pain, or are having other medical problems in their life, that all they could think of is their pain and their difficulty. So
Right.
sometimes people say, there's nothing working in my life. How
Mm-hmm.
can I be happy? How can I be grateful? And then I bring their attention to other things that are working in their life. So I would say, uh, you were able to come to my office. Uh, are you grateful that you are still able to walk?
Mm,
And it kind of light goes on. Or
yeah.
are you grateful for being able to breathe, that you don't have, like, a lung problem? Or are you grateful for your eyes to be able to see? And then they start kind of connecting the dots. The last, like, I had this patient who, so every time I ask people, sometimes they come up with different things. So recently a patient told me, well, she was grateful for being able to bend her body to
Mm-hmm.
be able to wear her socks. And I
Wow.
said, how come you thought about that? And so she is a caretaker. And so she takes care of people who are bedridden and who are not able to go to the bathroom by themselves, or put on their socks. And so she really appreciates her body's ability to be able to do that.
That's
Simple
amazing.
things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, right. And you know, Rosina, I think when I was doing counseling work, I remember gratitude being one of the ways that we would help to reframe stress. And so I love that you do this, because simple gratitude is such a It's such a simple way to reframe the stress in our lives. So I love that you bring this to us. And I was wondering then, when we talk about stress to joy, okay, now you've helped probably thousands of patients through your experience. And I know you have some really interesting techniques that I've seen from your book about helping people to really get back on track. Can you talk about some of those? How do you marry some of those simple stress techniques with that journaling practice? How do those work together? What are some of the techniques that you use?
So there's like a basic formula that I share with people, and I call it ACR, like
Okay.
not the VCR, but ACR. So A stands for acknowledge. So you acknowledge what is going on, and then C stands for calm down. So different calming techniques, mindfulness techniques, relaxation techniques. And this R represents reflection. So you reflect on what is coming from outside you and what is you inside you that you can do, and what are the things that are in your circle of influence versus outside your circle of influence. So we kind of go through step by step to help a person cope with whatever life challenge they are going through.
Right.
So let me share one basic technique that is part of step 1A, acknowledge, that I think resonates with a lot of people. Everybody has a bank account. You have a bank account, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. And there are deposits and there are withdrawals, right?
Yep.
What happens if your withdrawals are more than deposits?
Bad
You get
things.
stressed.
Yeah.
So take that analogy and apply it in your emotional coping account. All of us have an internal system. We can call it emotional coping account.
Okay.
All the things that drains us are all the stressors, all the challenges, demands that makes us feel down or drained would be your withdrawals.
Okay.
All the things that make you feel good, that adds to you feeling well and energetic and positive, would be your deposits.
Sure.
Okay. And so I usually kind of have people make a balance sheet. You have a balance sheet like where you check balance, right?
Sure.
Keep your balances. The old handwritten check balancing books are like not great, but nowadays people don't do that as much.
Right.
But I kind of make this balance sheet for them, and I say, okay, write down all your withdrawals at this time and write down all your deposits and see how your balance is going, positive or negative.
That's great.
And anytime you see that things are there are more negatives than positive, all you have to do is simply deposit some more positive things to bring the balance back.
That's really cool.
Do you
Yeah.
find that people really take to that? Because I'm always interested in how clients use these tools. So is this something you'll do in a group setting or an individual setting? Do people find this easy to do, or do you find that there is a surprising amount of resistance there?
There's always resistance initially.
Right.
And so I do both individually and in groups. And what helps is giving examples. So I usually bring my phone. Right now I can't show you on the audio, but I open my phone. Just imagine I'm opening my phone, and I open my Wonder List, which is my to-do list. And in my Wonder List, there is something, one thing that I have, which is called deposit list. Okay? And so when I open my deposit list, and I show to people, see, these are my deposit list, and you can create your own deposit list to remind you that some of these things you can deposit today. So every morning when I'm reviewing my to-do list, I look at it, what deposit I'm going to put today. So my deposit list includes a mindful shower, a relaxing bath, watching a movie, talking to a friend, coloring, looking at nature, reading a nice book, putting my daughter to sleep, time with the family, reading something funny, looking at a flower, writing my diary, going for exercise, meditation, making someone feel better. Like, when a patient feels good, I really feel good inside.
Right.
Learning something new, treadmill, music, giving talks, talking to you, things like that. The list goes on. I don't want to spend too much time reading, but I wanted to give some examples. And so people who are listening at this point in time, they can start something called deposit list, either on their phone or the paper or on the refrigerator, where they list down all the things that make them feel good. So when you're feeling down, you can add something, but also on everyday basis. Like, frugal people, what do? They don't wait for their account to go in negative. They try to put small deposits regularly.
Right.
So similarly, you can put small deposit every day. So if there is a emergency withdrawal or a stressor comes your way, you are able to pull yourself out faster.
That is such a cool practice.
I love that.
We talk about energy a lot on the show and in our videos and stuff. And that's, all those good things add to your energy level. And I think that's just an amazing tip that you just shared.
I love that. And Rozina, what I love is that you have the gratitude journaling, which is something, it just requires a pen and a blank piece of paper, or it just requires an open document on your computer. And then you marry that with the deposit list. That's a list you can have right next to it. And some things can be a twofer. You can have some things that you're grateful for that you can go out and do right now. And then maybe that will help to reduce your stress. So Rozina, I'm going to ask you the question then that I ask all guests, and you've already given us a lot on this show. But what's a tip or tool, an additional tip or tool that you can give us all right now that we can use on our journeys of personal and spiritual growth? Something in addition to that gratitude journal, in addition to that deposit list. What's something else we can do right now?
So one concept that really helps me and a lot of my patients, when the technology is not working, when you're stuck in the traffic, when your kid is not behaving according to your expectation, or when things are not going according to your desire,
right.
One thing you can ask is, what is within my circle of influence? This is the concept I learned from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he talks about this circle of influence, and he draws this big circle, which contains all the things that you're concerned about in life, the politics, the neighbor, the patient, my family, other people, everything that concerns you. And then there's a smaller circle inside that circle. It's called circle of influence. Those are the things you have some influence on, something you can do about. When I'm drawing that for patients, I write I can in that inner circle. And so I tell people, is there something that you can do? When you are having, when you are worried about something, when you're getting frustrated about something, when you want something to be done, you ask yourself, yes, this is in my circle of concern. What part of it is in my circle of influence, or I can circle? And so I could not, let's say, if you are driving and you are stuck in the traffic and you are running late, it is, of course, you're concerned. Let me share a simple example. So I was going somewhere and I got stuck in the traffic, and I got really frustrated because I was supposed to do a presentation at the other end, and I was getting so worked up. And so I pulled over and I called my husband and I said, oh my God, I'm running late. I'm so frustrated. Now everybody is going to be so upset with me, and people are going to never invite me again, and da, 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 da. And and my husband said, Rozina, stop.
Yeah.
Calm down, look around, and tell me where you are. So until I became aware of my issue and calmed my body down and focused on what is within my circle of influence. So it was not in my control to be there where I needed to be at that point in time, but it was in my circle of influence to identify where I was. So I told him, okay, I see this street and this street. So then he asked me, okay, now take this and then take the expressway and go this way, and you'll be able to reach the place. And believe me, I actually reached in time.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
was just getting so worked up because I thought I would not. And, I was focusing on what was not in my control. Time was not in my control. Getting lost, it was not in my control. But what was in my control was to acknowledge, to calm down, and to reflect what I can do. And what I was able to do was identify where I was and find out where I need to go. And then I went.
That is so powerful. That
Yeah.
is such a great tip.
And it's an important reminder that at every moment of our day, like you just said, we do have certain things we can influence and certain things we can't. Sometimes at the political level, we can vote. Okay, that's something we can do. But then, maybe at home we have a little more control over what we eat or how much we exercise. So there are certain things that we don't have too much influence over, and then there are other things that we can take control of right now. And I love that you bring that reminder to us.
And people start worrying so much about those things, and their whole energy is lost in worrying. So I have a departing mantra for you. So I teach people, when you start worrying about things that are not in your control,
Yeah.
you can start telling yourself, I choose not to suffer before suffering.
I like
I
that.
will deal with the problem if it happens, when it happens.
Right.
And I'm going to focus on the results I want rather than the results I don't want.
That's awesome.
And when people read my book that I was going to give the gift for the listening this podcast, please go ahead and check out this technique, and it's the technique to overcome worrying habit, and it's called the mantra to overcome worrying.
I love it.
Well,
I
that's
love
awesome. Rosina, you're awesome.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you for just being so straightforward with this. I think a lot of times these exercises will sometimes in books will get lost, or you just have a very no nonsense way of letting people know, identify it,
Yep.
apply it, and then assess those results. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's nice. Thank you for sharing your personal story also, because I think it just makes it mean so much more what you're doing, knowing that you yourself have gone through, such trying times.
Well, thank you. And thank you for doing this, because you are taking all these wisdom from different people to these audience, and you don't know whose life you would be touching. And together we are bringing more happiness and health in the world. And that's why I'm so glad to be partnering in your mission with you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of this episode of The Nobody Guide to Life. Thank you again, Rozina, for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I want to remind our listeners, stress is a part of life. And for many of us, it's a lot of our life. But here's the thing. It's common to us all. You're not alone, and there are people and techniques out there that can help. Don't let stress be a constant companion in the shadows of your life. Identify it, call it out, and then actively work to erase it from your life when and where you can, and please try to replace it with gratitude. You can find out more about Dr. Rozina Lakhani at Dr. Rozina, that's DrRozina.com, or at stresstojoy.com. You can find her book, Stress to Joy, Your Toolkit to Restore Peace of Mind in Minutes, there or on Amazon. Or as a special offer for listeners of The Nobody Guide to Life, Rozina has made the audiobook free at stresstojoy.com/JA free. Go there, check it out, look for the gratitude journal. There's a lot of really helpful stuff there. We'll have all those links in our show notes.
And you can always check out more episodes at thenobodyguidetolife.com or on the Nobody Guide to Life YouTube channel. Reach out to us on Instagram at J.A. Plosker and at Melissa Plosker, and or join the Facebook community, The Nobody Guide to Life, Simple Spirituality and Personal Growth. We would really love to hear from you all. If you liked what you heard on this episode, please consider sharing it with someone you know, someone who would like to turn their stress into joy. And who wouldn't, right? Keep practicing and have a good